Goeie. Say your names, maybe?
Terry.
Adrian. Jane. Tess.
Mary, Selena.
Terry.
Hi, Mum.
How you doing? Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Gone through the labels?
Yep.
Okay. We don't teach you anything here. Understand that right from the start. We don't tell you anything. What we do is point toward and ask you to look to where we're pointing to see for yourself. So no matter what you believed or what anybody's told you or what books you read or anything like that, when you understand what we're pointing to, you realise nobody can teach you anything and nobody can tell you anything. And it's not some new idea or concept or belief. If you look in all the ancient scriptures and texts, you'll see it's the base of them all. Here we call it non-duality. It was called in Hinduism also, Advaita, meaning non-duality. Non-duality translated means one without a second. And I'm not talking about time when I say a second, one without the other. Meaning that is all there is that one essence, appearing, patterning, shaping, forming and expressing as everything. And you and I and everything else in this manifestation can be nothing other than that, though we appear to be different. And again in Hinduism they label it as a Sat Chit Ananda Nama Rupa. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is love of being, and the Nama Rupa, name and form, are Maya, illusion. That's what the Buddha stated. This manifestation is dreamlike. It is Maya, it is illusion. And you need to investigate and see these things for yourself. The Buddha told you that, what is it?
Emptiness is form.
Yeah. He called it cognizing emptiness. An emptiness with the capacity of knowing or intelligence, he said. Made the statement then that emptiness is form. And he turned it around the other way and said the form can be nothing other than the emptiness. Now look at this, the basic screen that all this manifestation appears in is the space-like awareness or the silence, stillness and silence. That's the screen. And have a look, can you postulate anything outside of space? Think of anything, what would it be in? You realise, no matter how far back you take it or where you take it, if it's got to be in something, the only thing it can be in is space. They made the emptiness as form and the form is emptiness. And they call it also, in Buddhism, it is a non-conceptual, ever fresh presence awareness. Just this, nothing else. That presence awareness, which is without any concepts, names and forms or labels on it. Have a look at that word. Presence awareness. Not talking about the sensation of awareness, because this is a sensation. Can you say anything? Can anyone tell me what awareness is? You can't tell me, you can't put a concept or a label on it that you can say this is it, but you can't negate it either. Is there anyone unaware in this moment? And you realise, no, I'm not unaware, so naturally you must be aware. So that screen of awareness or emptiness is the base in which everything is. Now look at a screen. got the movie screen. Can be cowboys and Indians getting shot and beat up and everything on it. But is the screen ever corrupted or contaminated or touched by anything that appears in it? It's not. And when you recognise yourself as just another pattern, shape and form that's appearing on that screen, take yourself out of space if you can. Stop being aware if you can. You can never say, I am unaware. Because to be able to say anything at all, you must realise that awareness is there to see it. They also put it in the scriptures that it is omnipresence, total presence. Anyone who is not present right now. Omniscience. Anyone who is not knowing right now. So it is not a higher power or a greater power or a lower power where we get the mistake and go looking and searching for higher powers or this power, thought power. It is the one power that is patterning, shaping, forming and expressing as everything. So basically you can't get away from that. Go back to the Satchitananda existence. Anyone who's not existing in this room right now, you know, I'm existing. Anyone who's not conscious right now, you're not unaware, so you must be conscious. Anyone who's not happy to be. So you are that Satchitananda, but you're relating it to this shape and form. This body-mind entity. And that's what needs to be investigated, to see whether you are this person. Where does the idea of a person come from? Doesn't it come from persona, a Latin word, the mask, pointing out we've got this conceptual image based on past events, experiences and conditioning that we've taken to be what we really are, an image, a concept, made up of words, thoughts, ideas. It needs to be investigated. And what we say is the false cannot stand up to investigation. When you start looking along these lines, start questioning some of these beliefs we've taken on board, they'll fall apart under investigation. Look up your dictionary, look up the word belief. The definition of belief is an unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. Acceptance of an alleged fact, not the true fact, without positive knowledge or proof. Put your belief to that test and see how many of them stand up. You believe you are this body-mind? Have a look. Are you the body? And innately you already know you're not the body, because don't you say my body? Don't you say my house, my car, my coat? You know damn well you're not the house, the car or the coat. Maybe you're not the body either. Same thing with my mind. You're not the house, the coat or the car, so you're not my mind. But when you say my mind, what are you referring to? Myself. The conceptual image you've got to call the self. Now when you look at this, that's what we look for. Self-realisation, self-liberation, self-knowing. And we think that this personal self is going to become realised, become liberated. But it can't. And it won't, because there is no such thing as a person. If you think you are this body, have a look at it. What's this body made up of? You realise this body's made up of elements, earth, fire, water, space, just the same as the elements around you. Separate yourself from those elements if you can. Take the air out of your body, see how long you last. Stop drinking the water, see how long you last without that water. Stop eating the food, see how long it lasts without it. Get off the earth if you can, get out of space. When you really investigate, you see you're not separate from those elements at all. And all those elements can be broken down to the subatomic particles and the pure energy. So this body, your body, my body, and every other body, and every other tree, every other plant, shape and form, are nothing but vibrating patterns of energy. And the vibration seemingly vibrates into a shape or form and it's seemingly real. The same with your mind. You say, my mind. But are you the mind? What do you call mind? Show me a thing called mind if you can. And when you investigate that, you realise there's no such thing as mind, apart from thought. All mind is thinking. And if mind is thought, and you believe you are the mind, you'd believe you were a particular thought. And the particular thought we've taken yourself to believe is I or me. But are you the I, are you the me? You're not really. So you can't say, hey buddy, you can't say this morning. Mind. When did you begin? And unless you investigate and look at this stuff, you'll say, I began at birth. But can any one of you actually remember your birth? You can't remember your birth. You don't remember anything till you're about 2.5 years of age, when you learnt words, with the capacity of reasoning came upon you. Up until that time you don't know anything about it at all. Tell me what happened to you before you were 2.5 or when you were in the womb. You can't, because you didn't have any words. And while you're in the womb you didn't even have a brain that formed. So how could you think and say anything? Well, when did you begin? Well, go back and look at it. Go back as far as your father and your mother. That animating life essence, that intelligence energy, enabled in that pattern a little microscopic particle from the breath and the food eaten, the way it was functioning, enabled a little microscopic particle called a sperm to form in that body. You can't see it with your naked eye. That sperm was suffused with an innate intelligence and knew what to do. The same with the mother. The essence of the food in your mother, the breath, the prana, and the chi, or whatever you like to call it, enabled in that pattern a little microscopic particle called an egg, or an ovum to form in that pattern. That ovum, that egg, was suffused with intelligence. It knew what to do. It attached itself to the wall of the uterus. It wasn't just floating around accidentally or well in there. It attached itself to the wall of the uterus. And the sperm knew what to do. It was suffused with intelligence too. It swam to the ovum, put it under a microscope and see. It has the capacity of swimming. And it knew where to swim to. Knew to penetrate the ovum. And when those two came together, what happened? That cell doubled and redoubled, and the little embryo, the little fetus began to form. What were you doing about it then? If you think you're running the show. You say, well, I better grow a heart today or a lung. You didn't say anything about it at all because you couldn't, and you didn't know anything about it. But the innate intelligence knew how to pattern, shape and form. Yeah? Those two cells came together. The genes that was in that energy, doubled that cell, doubled it again, and the little fetus and embryo began to form. And it's that same thing that you are this day. When you were born and came out, as I say, you don't remember your birth, and you were living for the first 9 months in the womb without any mind, without any thought. The next 2 years before you learnt any words, you were living, growing. And you didn't have the persona, the mask then. You were getting along quite well without it. But then when the reasoning came about, we began to learn words. You learnt words from your parents. They tell you, little Johnny, you're a good little boy, and that or the other. And you learnt other words and realised that every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been learnt. You weren't born with any words. It's picked up along the way. And also have a look and see that the word is not the thing. The word's not the real. Take the word water, try and drink the word. Try and wash in the word. Try and swim in the word or drown in the word. You can't. Does the word fire burn your mouth? Can you heat yourself with it? Can you cook with it? You can't. So mightn't have put another angle on this thought, I or me, that we believe ourselves to be. And you can't do much with this I or me. What have we done to it? We've added events, experiences and conditioning. Things have happened to us over the years. We've added on to this I. I'm Bob, my parents told me I'm an Australian, I'm a good fella, or I'm not so good fella and good. I've had a bad childhood, or I'm unhappy, or I'm fearful. I got all into all these things, all based on words. And I got this conceptual image. A conceptual image, an image made up of concepts of what I believe myself to be. And realize that as soon as you say I or me right now, what do you refer to? This believed in body, this pattern, shape and form that you've got. Without questioning, we go along with that I. So that I or me becomes the reference point. The ego or the self-centre. And this ego becomes the problem. And one of the fellowships, I tell you, that they get to describe it as selfishness, self-centeredness, self-will run riot. That we think is the problem. And it goes on to say, above all, we must be rid of that selfishness. What's that kills us? Not the booze, the drugs, or any other thoughts, concepts that are going to kill you. It's this ego, this self-centre. And we say here it's a fiction. It's got no substance or no independent nature of itself. So how does it come about that we've looked into this? We'll have a look at how it does. Something comes up and I like it. How do you know? Well, I've had this experience before and it's good. And we don't want to lose the things that are good. We want to keep them there. Not realising that, as they tell us, this manifestation, it's Maya or illusion, they also say it's transient. There is nothing static in it whatsoever. It's constantly changing. And realise that body you walked into this room with is not the same body. There are thousands of cells dying in it right now and being replaced. And you don't have to go too far back into your memory to see it wasn't the same as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even yesterday. You had different concepts and ideas. So it's constantly changing. But we got this static image on us, this dead image based on past events, and keep constantly relating to that. No wonder we can't keep up with life. So if something comes up and I like it, not realising it's transient, and no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you think of them, how much you want to keep them there, no matter what you do, it's going to change. Or you're going to change in some way, I don't know. But we don't want it to go, so what do? We resist it. Try to keep it there. And realise that any resistance you are in conflict. And any conflict you are in, it makes you uneasy, it makes your actions depressed, guilty, shameful, remorseful. All your psychological suffering comes about because of that resistance. Conflict we are in. So another word for conflict is uneasiness or disease. Uneasiness is just another name for disease. So resistance, conflict and disease. What happens if something comes up we don't like? Well, the same thing. We don't like this one. What do? We try to get rid of it. We want to throw it out. We don't want it to be that way. So again we resist it. Again conflict. And again disease. And isn't that going on in your life all the time? Might be moments when there's thought-free and there's a bit of joy, a bit of happiness comes along, but how long does it last? Before the resistance comes in, before the anxiousness, the fear, the depression. So that's why we say here, you'll never find the answer in the mind. The mind is the cause of all your problems. When you look at it, there's no such thing as mind. My mind, my house, my car. Mind is a conceptual image we've taken. It's a very useful tool. It's not the enemy. But it's self-destructive if you don't understand it and don't recognise it. This house was an idea in somebody's mind once. So was the mirror on the wall. So was a lot of the things out there, or ideas and somebody's mind, they're useful. A lot of people in this silence today, and in the hospitals and all the rest are there because of the mind also. So when the mind's functioning along those lines, the energy of belief goes into it, it tells you you're not good enough, you're fearful, you're unhappy, you're anxious. And the worst one we put upon ourselves, well, after all, I'm only human. And we call ourselves human beings. And if you believe in God, I don't use that term here, because you can get confused with it. We've all got different concepts of what we think God is, which one would be right. And if you believe in that God, you call God the Supreme Being. So you've got the human being and the Supreme Being. Separation. What happens if you take that label of human off it? Do you stop being without the label? What do you take the label of the Supreme Being off? What's left without the label Supreme? Isn't it just being? And is there anyone in this room who is not being right now without the label? And you realise it's all around you. It's being a carpet, if you take the label carpet. It's being a chair. It's being the mirror. It's being the window. It's being the tree outside. It's being the flowers. It's being the earth. It's being the stars, the planets. It's always one essence, being, patterning, shaping, forming and expressing as everything. And we lose sight of it, our true nature, because we focus into this conceptual image, this ego, this self-centre. And everything becomes relative to that self-centre. That's what duality is, relationship, relativity. It's not just a male-female relationship we're getting to. It's relative to things. Relative to your job, relative to your school, relative to your friends, relative to this, all relationship. And relationship is a fiction, because it's non-duality we talk about. It is the one essence, patterning, shaping, forming and expressing as everything. And all the ancient texts, if you look into them far enough, will teach you that. And the people that formed around those, recognise these things in themselves and try to point it out to others, that's what the great traditions have formed around. But what have they done? The people that formed around, they set them up and worship them up as Christ, Buddhas, this one, that one, saints, saviours, sages and seers. And what have we done? We've worshipped the messenger and lost sight of the message. It is the recognition and realisation and acknowledgement and seeing and understanding the message that's going to set you free. And that's the old scriptural saying, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Shakespeare told you that years ago, 200 or 300 years ago, and he says there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And have a look at that and see if that's not right. What is wrong with right now if you don't think about it? See what you can say without a thought. You realise you can't say anything at all. And the Sagadatta tells it the same thing. He says, nothing can trouble you. Not a thing in this world can trouble you except your own imagination. Now break that word imagination to image in. Imagine. And realise that's all you're doing all the time. You are imagining this, you are imagining that, imaging something else. And all those images are dead images. They're based on the past. Bringing the past seemingly into the future, or imagining some future. But have a look at that concept of time. And recognise that time itself is a fiction. There's no such thing as time. Is there a past if you don't think about it? Is there a future if you don't think about it? And when are you thinking about the past? Isn't it thinking in this immediacy? People say, I was in the past. I'll say, try and live a moment ago. Try and go back and live a moment. Try and live yesterday or last week or when you were a little child. You can't go back and live it. You can recall it. And the only actuality it has is what you're giving it right in this moment. Because nobody in this room can tell you what you thought about a minute ago now unless you're recalling it again, unless you're bringing it up. Same with the future. You can anticipate and imagine the future. But you can't actually live in the future. And when's that anticipation imagining going on? Going on right now. So when you look at it, people try and tell you you've got to stay in the now. I'll say try and get out of it. When you investigate and look at it closely, is there any time at all, any moment when you've ever been away from this immediacy? This actuality? And see, it's not. And see, it's all the labels, names and forms we put on it that are hiding it, blocking it off, shutting us off. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be that if you like, but that's the way out. And they tell you in the scriptures, the answer is not in the mind. You will never ever get peace of mind. The peace is when the mind is not. That's why the ancients call it the peace that passes all understanding. You don't have to put a concept or a label on to understand, but there's a natural sense of well-being there when you're not trying to work things out in the mind. And I think, how are we going to live without this mind? Well, tell me, what's your next thought going to be? Nobody can tell me what's your thought. You think you are thinking a thought. But the thoughts come up. Look at those things and see if they're right, or what we're saying is right or wrong. You know? See for yourself. So in recognising you're not the mind, you're not the thought, you're not the person, you're not this entity, have a look at that. Again, investigate and see it. We pointed out and asked you to look along these lines and see for yourself. Everybody is seeing right now. Everybody is hearing right now. Isn't that a fact? You'll say, yeah, I'm seeing, I'm hearing. But tell me this. Does your eye tell you, look at this bubble, or look at that, or that? Does your eye tell you, I see? My eye's not saying, look at this bubble, look at that, or that's good, or that's bad. My eye cannot say anything at all. But it is the instrument to which the seeing is happening. And that instrument is translated by the thought, I see. And it's been translated by this dead image, the past thought, the conceptual image. Me, Bob, the Australian, thinks it's seeing. The good fellow or the bad fellow, whatever concept. So the seeing's happening, the thought comes up, I see. Hearing's happening. Does your ear tell you I hear? My ear's not saying listen to this or listen to that. It is the instrument to which the hearing's happening that's translated by the thought I hear. Now have a look at that. The thought I see is coming up, the thought I hear. But can that thought I see actually see? Shut your eyes and look around a room and see what you can see with a thought. Get the exact proof of it right now. You realise you can't see anything with a thought. Any of the actual things in this room with a thought, with your eyes closed. Put your hands over your ears, blot your ears out and see what you hear with the thought, without the thought I hear. So when you look at that, you realise the thought I see cannot see. The thought I hear cannot hear. The thought I am aware is not the awareness. The thought I choose is not the choice maker. You reckon you choose your thoughts? Why would you ever have an unhappy, an anxious or a fearful thought if you could choose them? Why would you ever be miserable? So this thought-up entity, this ego, can't do anything at all. It's fiction. So what, you're going to recognise that, you're going to keep relating to it and falling into the trap? Or you're going to settle down to be with what is right in this immediacy. It's just as it is right now. What is means unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. Leave everything as it is. The next thought, the next idea, the next breath, the next heartbeat will come up spontaneously just as it is, as it's always been doing. And you won't have to put the garland of concepts, of ideas, of thoughts around it to blot it off. Leave it in its natural state. And that's the natural state. Unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. And Banking, a Zen monk in the 16th century, told us that. He called it the unborn Buddha mind. And he says, everything is perfectly resolved in the unborn. You come to realise nature's working itself out quite all right. Nothing born in nature, it's the unborn mind. And he says, why exchange the unborn mind for thought? And that's what we do. So that's what we point to and ask, look along those directions. Tell us what you understand about it. People have looked into it and recognised it. What you think about it. If you've got any questions, if you need the questions, look along those lines. Ask questions. Things it out. But get into it.
No, I think you ran it through everything beautifully. Yes, so get into it. Questions, ideas, arguments.
I've got a question. So, a couple of days ago, I had a good experience where I just went into awareness completely, like for 24 hours. The ego dropped away, everything dropped away. It's just usually through a lot of suffering recently. It just sort of split, and it popped away. But the last couple of days, I'm sort of feel like I'm in between. Like I've got the awareness going on, but the mind's still trying to run some judgments and some stuff, and I'm sort of seeing it with a bit of separation. So I feel like I'm sitting in this bridge. So how do I go completely through?
Keep recognise the base that's behind it. Like there's nothing behind it, but what it's all appearing on. It's appearing on that screen of awareness, which you say you dropped into. You dropped into it naturally, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, maybe again it'll sit relaxed and see, and instead of fixating, trying to work it out with the thoughts, let them be as much as possible.
Yeah, that's right, because it's trying to analyse and find it. Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, how did you feel? Did all the anxiety and stuff drop?
Yeah, it was like probably a long-term attachment finally went.
Okay.
And it feels like that was the source of it all. And it just full presence, just observing, just walking around observing, but not reacting or anything, just observing.
That sounds pretty nice.
It was nice. It was nice.
You recognise it's available, it's there, it's available to anybody at all, if they look into it and investigate. Most of us, you go out back into the world out there and they'll drag you back in. They're all 99.9% of the world have come from that self-centre, that ego, and it's easy to suck you back in because you've been reinforcing it every day, they're reinforcing it every day, your schools, your society, everybody else around is reinforcing it every day. To look along those lines, you're taking a trip directly away from it into your natural state. But it's out there, people have done it before, won't be the first one that can fall into it. But get the taste of it, you know where the truth is, in that natural state.
But how do you, like if you're in that environment, is it hard to, like what do you do to keep going? Like you're going to keep getting dragged back out of it because of the environment, is that right? Or you just...
Well, you could ask yourself, who's it happening to? What would be the answer?
Oh yeah.
The answer would be, it's happening to me. But then it might dawn on you, well, wait a minute, that bloke the other day said there's no me.
Yeah.
And I've had the taste there was no me. Am I right or am I wrong? So what do? Then you'll have another look. You'll pause and see what's going on without the thought. Start getting the taste of the natural state more and more instead of going back into the old conceptual image.
was interesting, Bob, because I was with my mum in New Zealand. She's got some dementia. She's 88 years old. So I went kind of 24/7 round the clock for 8 days to be with her. And the appearances were happening and the screen was there and the piece was there. And I didn't actually have a problem. So it wasn't that I was just wanting peace and I just wasn't. What I'm hearing in what you said was you had this experience of pure awareness and presence and no one there. And then there was a problem. You decided there was a problem because something arose again in your consciousness. That's what I understood. But what I experienced was I didn't really care if something arose or not. And I think that's life, isn't it? That we're the piece is there, and there's moments where the mind's chattering, and then there's moments when the mind is not chattering. And I got to see that in myself, but I got to see that with my mum. And there wasn't an argument or a war with it. You know, there wasn't a preference going on that it should be different. And I could see also like, oh my God, she's asked me 30 times what day it is. And then I just went, but that's okay. And then there was the peace. So it was kind of nice to have the experience of both and not care.
Add something.
Yeah, not care.
The thing, when you don't believe in something anymore, you don't care.
Yeah.
And when you don't care, you can't put the energy of belief into it.
Right, so it's actually okay if something comes up.
Yeah, well, it will.
Come up, or the
It
thought
must.
comes up.
The whole manifestation is constantly vibrating in its related opposites. Day, night, winter, summer, everything is constantly. Still going to appear to be so.
But the thing is that we get attached to these beautiful, we get attached to that.
Yeah, I was hoping it would disappear completely.
Right. And that was
Forever.
the trick. and you're like caught back in. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to experience. I don't care. Who cares? If that helps, I don't know.
It does.
That was a response. But what I heard Bob was saying, which is what Nisargadatta was saying, just abide in that. Bring your attention back to the screen, to the piece. So, yeah.
Speaking of family wars, I really like, Bob, how you were talking about being sucked back into, I suppose, an identity or a role. And I know there's a lot of change happening here as I'm breaking free of what I think is real and who I think I am. And as that's happening, I'm noticing family members around me reacting to that. And one in particular was quite firm with me, sort of reminding me who I am in the family structure and who they are in the family structure, and remember who you are. So and spontaneously out of me came, just fuck off, just back off, and it's the first time I just said, I can't be bothered hearing this. Like, normally I'm this kind of, fearful, obedient, insecure boy. And there's this other energy in me that's just not that and doesn't want to be confined or trapped to a dynamic or a relationship that has me trapped in that role. So yeah, there's a lot happening in that. But the reminder is for me not to kind of get carried away about what that might mean and where that will lead me, and just to remember that I'm here right now, there's breathing happening. What else is there other than my thinking? Yeah.
And isn't it amazing to watch how this pattern now is reacting differently? You basically you can watch Tas, you can have curiosity about, he used to react as this timid little obedient boy. Now, let's see what this body is going to do now. Yeah, that's what it does. It does whatever it wants, wherever it wants, however it wants. If it wants to say a swear word to the mother or sister, it does. It is none of your business. It's not really you doing it. It's just that body-mind with its conditioning breaking through from some boundaries, doing its thing. So the guilt doesn't apply anymore. Tas is doing certain things, is saying certain things, but you are the screen. You are the awareness. You are the knowing of it. So whatever he does, Meaning making may happen. Oh yeah, but it means this and that. That meaning making is also mental activity. You are not it, you are the screen. So you see Tas doing actions, Tas adding story to the actions, Tas making meaning. But you're not Tas. You're not the body, you're not the mind. You're the knowing awareness, the space, the screen on which those actions, physical actions, mental activity, perception, seeing, hearing, this is all happening on that screen. And with that sort of a detachment, you can be totally curious with no preferences. Oh yeah, but I prefer him to be a nice, good, polite, liked boy. Nah, who cares? Now you're not him, so you can have curiosity and openness what he's gonna do next. Oh, now he said back off. We'll see what he's gonna do next. Isn't it great to actually be free from attachment to that avatar, that body mind that you are using as a car or coat or house, you know, the means of expression. You're not that expression means, you're not that channel, you're the screen.
As long as you don't punch his lights out.
Punch what?
His lights out. Tony's getting aggressive.
I think it happens in every family. At first, when they see the change in you, they react. It's very, oh no, I speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
It's very common. They don't like the change that's happening. So they start attacking you. They think that you're going to move away from the family, like position or whatever it might be. And by you saying that, you start to get stronger, and then you find bit by bit, they don't say anything to you, and if anything, then they'll ask you questions about it. But it takes a little while. I've gone through that, even with my girls. Now they're not. Actually, they're having some experience themselves, and they're talking to me a bit more. So, but at first, it was really, really hard, especially being my children. It's very common. I had that with my parents when I went to metaphysics. The same thing was war on his family, my family. It's a change. They don't like the change that's happening. They feel they're losing you. You're not part of the family anymore.
Well, they're losing them as well.
Yeah, but they don't understand that.
No.
Yeah, I related to that when you said that. Yeah. It's all part of the growth, I suppose. And how stronger we're going to be, you know. Hopefully. Yeah, no, it does. Makes you stronger.
And also the changes, any sort of changes require change, adapting the conditioning. So it is actually quite demanding for the brain. You know, if you work on the autopilot 90% of the time, you don't really have to worry. Nobody has to worry. They're just on autopilot, completely unconscious, just repeating its thing. And a change is threatening because, especially, you know, when I work with elderly people, you can see they don't really have that much energy to invest it in learning new environment, new behaviors, new responses. So that's actually, there is a resistance naturally in the body towards the change because change is unknown and the body is wired for security. It wants to be safe all the time. There is a survival instinct. If things are the way we know they are, okay, they're not very comfortable, but at least it's familiar. That's but with the change, there is a freshness. There is a off the autopilot mode, the version of exploration and curiosity. That awareness is kind of more with here now because it can't afford to go to the head and repeat stories because of the immediate danger. That's why people love to be in, let's say, people who do have the energy, traveling and exploring, being in a place where a lot of things is happening in the immediacy of hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, because they don't go to the head that often. They don't suffer that much. Because all that space, which is also familiar, is not getting, the survival of the body takes priority and instincts work in the immediacy because in the head there is only psychological suffering, while in the physical reality of five senses there may be something that can threaten survival of the body. So it's really good to actually understanding the whole process, how the mind processes work, is one of the advices Bob often gives with coming from Buddhism. being utterly awake with 5 senses wide open. So basically bringing attention to here now, because this is the immediacy. Dividing attention equally between whatever is seen, whatever is heard, whatever is tasted, touch, smell, balance of the body, stretch of the muscles, feelings, breathing. This is happening right now. Now, if the attention will be equally distributed between what is immediately happening, what is not happening, which is thinking. See how thinking is always about what is not happening. We are thinking about what is not, what it was or what it will be or could be. Thinking is imagination. Hardly ever we actually think of what is here now, noticing tree or whatever, but that's not thinking, that's noticing. So if the attention is spent for the immediacy, there's not much left of it for thinking of what is not. So then
centering yourself.
Yeah, the quality of presence is kind of, it comes forth. Yeah. It becomes really almost dense. And of course, it's not a quality of presence, as Bob said. Presence is you can't sense it. It's pre-sensory. But the senses that are immediately present, the pictures, the images in the space of seeing, the sounds in the space of hearing, the smells in the whole space is furnished with that sensory experiencing. So the sensory experiencing brings back the experience of space, filtered by the senses, but still space. Without the space, there wouldn't be any space of hearing, space of seeing, space of tasting, space of touching. And then coming back to that space is coming back home. It's really coming back to the source of the essence.
Bob, I have a question. When you're in the mind and the body and you're finding it hard to escape and you're in the clamour of the world and you're in that identification, what are, if the word practices is right, how do you drop back into that awareness, that consciousness and that feeling, that more centering, or whatever label that you want to put on, or what in your experience has been the way to best achieve that?
Well, what are you doing about taking that breath, beating your heart, growing you? What's your next thought going to be? Even the thinking itself will go on. And some of them you might fixate on out of old habit, but sooner or later it's going to dawn you if you investigate enough. Hang on, I saw through this the other day. Is it true right now? Have another look. Yes, you can get locked into everything going on, the turmoil is going on in the immediacy for a while. But how long is it going to last? See, instead of letting it go, we rehash it and keep it there. Like if there's a herd of antelope in the jungle and the lion comes along, and they might be lying down grazing, or just grazing gently, or lying down, they'll be up and off. Run for 50 so yards, the lion will catch one of them. What do? The rest of them got back to living, which is eating, feeding themselves, got their heads down, grazing on it again. If it was us, we'd be looking over our shoulder the rest of the day, where's that lion, You're going to come along and what's he doing? What am I going to do to escape him? We carry it around. We carried around a dead image. Let it be in its immediacy. See how long things will last if we're not fixating on them. Be utterly open with unfixated awareness is the finish of that statement Kat was saying before. Be utterly awake with the 5 senses wide open, hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, but be utterly open with unfixated. You're not fixating on one to the exclusion of all else. You've got to take a foot in every camp. It can switch from one to the other then constantly. But you won't be locked into the old, which is excluding all the others, and making it a one thing that becomes overwhelming for us, The world naturally resolves itself, it does.
So things will just work out without having to do anything.
Well, what have you done about growing yourself from the time you're little?
Yeah, no, it's all occurring on
It happens right. Leave everything as it is. What is means unaltered, don't alter it. Unmodified, don't try and modify it. Uncorrected. no preferences, no partiality, no comparison. Well, you're not taking a stance on either end, but you let it flow, then you can flow into either one. You want a preference, it might be there. Not going to beat yourself up into trying to cling to it. Leave things change as they change.
So there's like a grace underlying everything that's just taking care of everything.
Yeah, just the same as this universe is functioning. You go outside on a cloudy day, would you say the sun's not in the sky? No. You've recognised and seen the sun doesn't leave the sky, but it's covered over by the cloud. But investigate a little bit further. Ask yourself, well, the clouds seem to have obscured the sun. What's forming the cloud? And you realise the sun itself forms the cloud. The sun doesn't know anything at all about the cloud. We'll never know anything about the cloud. But at its radiation, the heat of the sun, what does it do? It evaporates water. The water rises and condenses and forms a cloud which seemingly obscures it. The sun will keep shining and it might cause a wind to blow. And that wind will blow the cloud away, or it might thicken the cloud and the cloud will come down as rain. But all that life essence you are doing is self-shining, ever-fresh presence awareness. And in that, things will change. But if we're not trying to run the show and clinging to one thing and obscuring others by the clinging to it, then problem. Leave it as it is, it's bound to change.
And we just got to realise we're not the doers and we're not running the show like you just said. And that's it, sort of, and leave everything up to what it is.
Well, the persona is the conceptual image, the mask we've got, the person. You're not them. That's the most seemingly solid one we've taken on board and the hardest to get rid of. The I or the me.
Because we want what we want.
Pleasure.
We don't get what we want, then we get angry.
Right when it goes to plan.
So when you say no preferences for me, it's like if you're programmed with impatience, that's quite an obstacle because you want, there's a knowing of the truth, but the appearance may not be showing you what you want. So it's like having patience, I think is really important on a real basic level.
But if
a basic trust. And a basic trust that in the end, but it may not look how we think it should look.
Yeah,
That's
Bob
the
has
thing. We
something.
think it should look one way, but actually it's just not looking the way we want it to look like.
Yeah, Bob is trying to have a word.
So you're saying that the impatience, if you treat that as you treated everything else, you care less about it.
Right, yeah, okay, that's good, yeah. I've been bored a lot, mate. That's the last year, but I feel like I'm bored a lot of the time, lately. What's that, Bob? Boredom. I'm just bored. I'm like a kid walking around the house going, I'm bored. At least I'm laughing and bored. What's that?
Well, it's the label you're putting on it and you're laughing at
Yeah,
the label.
exactly. It's like I want to have something else than just...
You know the label's not the thing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing. But yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
Boredom.
Yeah. Imagine acute suffering. Like people really struggle with.
Yeah, no, mine has just got to boredom.
Yeah, that's cool.
I remember having chemo, and one thing I was never bored.
Right.
And I felt miserable and all the rest of it, but never bored.
Yeah.
So that feels boredom.
Is the boredom problem?
No, I'm laughing at
Cool.
the same time, so it's
That's
not a
cool.
problem. But
Good.
it's just kind of interesting
Yeah.
that's keeps arising. It's kind of boredom.
And have a look at that too. If you haven't put the label boredom or fear or hate or what is it?
It's just energy.
Just as
It's
it is.
vibration.
But it's as it is.
It is. It's just as it is.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah.
The label, the words we put on it, the word's not the thing, but we put
Yeah.
labels on everything and taking the word to be real.
Right. Well, the problem would arise if I'm at war with boredom. But
Yes.
That's just what's happening, and I'm not adding a story about it. It's like, okay, that's what's happening. I'm not trying to run away from it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Not go and get distracted from it, but just sit with it. Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently, central nervous system of humans is wired the way, so it needs certain activity there.
Right.
So if it's not, the instinct kicks in to look into stuff and to kill that boredom, because otherwise the neuronal connections will loosen up and will start dying off. So the deprivation from the whole excitement can be dangerous for the brain, for the networks there. So if you don't have resistance, and then there is some sort of a, it's same as urge, I'm hungry, is coming up. So the body knows what to do. If there is a hunger on a different levels, also the body, something will come up. And I doubt the boredom is there 24/7. It just comes and goes, isn't it?
Yeah. It comes
Yeah.
and goes.
It gets resolved by whatever the attention catches. The boredom comes in, and then suddenly, and you're gone in some activities or. It's brilliant how the life resolves itself, how living things, as Bob says, unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected, they kind of move on, they change to something else.
But I think boredom is a slight still resisting what is. It's like when there's boredom and the mind's labeling boredom, there's a resistance to what is. It should be different. It's just more subtle.
Yeah, how about hunger? Isn't it resistance, slight resistance?
No, because if you're really hungry, your body's screaming out for food. So I wouldn't call that a resistance. I think boredom is psychological. Hunger is the body hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, all depends on the definition, because ultimately everything's one.
Yeah.
If you got that label and you're resisting it, you're back in the trap, aren't you?
Yeah.
Recognise your resistance. You must recognise your resistance from the point of non-resistance. If you're totally resistant, you don't really realise it.
Yeah.
But to recognise I'm resistant, it must be from non-resistance. So settle back into that.
Right.
So sometimes, like consciousness, like if you're manifesting, there's sometimes something slow down, like it goes a bit quieter and it doesn't want to do much action, and then other times it wants to take off again and being more active and doing something. So does it go through those ebbs and flows? Do you see what I mean? So
Doesn't nature?
yeah.
Functioning the same as nature.
So it's not
There would be
always
no
action.
It's not always peace.
Yeah.
Tell us, Bob, about the nature. Started saying something.
So nature is functioning always dualistically. There couldn't be any duality without non-duality. There couldn't be non-duality without duality. There couldn't be day without night. There couldn't be silence without sound. Winter without summer. They're all functioning spontaneously, naturally, and constantly. And when we put the labels or the words on, we've bound ourselves into the conceptual image. But leave everything as it is. Does the earth that's rolling around the sun know anything about day or darkness? And is anybody making it roll, making it turn around, or is it all natural functioning in nature? Nature's just functioning as it is, Whereas the Desiderata says that poem, the Desiderata, finish up, no doubt the universe is functioning as it should. Everything's just going on as it should. Same with us. We're no different. But we fixate onto things and try and alter, modify and correct. But the mind is not the enemy. You've got to understand that can be very useful. Things can come up in the mind if it's allowed. Like people like Einstein and things like that had big, terrible problems or great, huge problems working out. What do most of them say? Well, I worked on this for weeks, couldn't get the answer. One night I went to sleep, woke up the next morning it was there. Comes about by itself if it's left. Leave everything as it is and it changes. It's bound to change.
So you're not doing anything?
Oh, well, it's not that you can't do it. Years ago when somebody was ringing me from the phone box here in Melbourne and asking about this stuff. And I'm telling him this, and he said, well, in that case I'll do nothing. I says, good, try staying in the phone box.
again.
He might be Doctor Who.
Well, the phone box has probably been taken away from him and pulled down. Something will happen will change it.
Yeah.
So, Bob, it's okay to have your goals, your plans. It's okay. Your things that you're working towards. Just the attachment. The attachment is the issue.
Yeah, let them, if they're meant to happen, the appropriate thoughts and activities will come up to help them fall into place.
Mm.
Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but so with the thoughts, like if you get a thought come up, the key is to just let it go, or not follow it or buy the story with it. Just come back to awareness, and that's it.
Yeah. And sometimes you won't be able to do that. The habit patterns are pretty strong. We've reinforced them for years and years and years. And they can crop up and grip you for a while.
Yeah.
But sooner or later you'll wake up.
Okay.
And less time it'll hang around after a while.
How long's that journey?
10,000 lifetimes.
Just now.
That's timeless. It's happening now.
Patience.
When does now begin?
It's always now.
Yeah, as you say, it's now it's beginning. It's already ending and beginning again. It's got no duration to it.
It's not that we have to recognize every single thought for all of the time to the rest of our lives, because that would be too overwhelming. I would shoot myself if that was the case. It's only this moment. Other moments, they don't matter. If they were thoughts behind that I missed to recognize as thoughts and went for the trip or whatever else happened, it doesn't matter. It's not now. It's dead. It's gone. It's only about this moment. And only when the remembering about recognizing is available. If it's not, forget about it now. And then now.
You know, I really like that with you, Kat, when you've reminded me to like die to the moment, each moment, just die, and let go of the attachment to what I think is, and just dive into the uncertainty and dive into the moment fresh. I had a very, I suppose, naive realization the other day. I was at an airport in a different time zone, and it just struck me, time is a concept. Because here is this time and here is that time. And it actually is a concept.
It is. See, where is the past when you don't think about it?
Yeah.
Where is yesterday when you don't think about it? It's totally absent, non-existent. Your childhood, you have to think about it, to believe it into existence. It literally doesn't have any existence apart from thought. Future, past, they don't exist. You think and believe they do. That's how you manifest them in your reality. There is nothing. There is a field of pure potentiality. There are no forms. Every form is empty. True nature of everything is emptiness. Now we believe things into existence by labeling them. We learn to deselect things by training our minds and our eyes to label things. And the past and future are part of that whole appearance. Only when believed. Conceptual ideas being believed into existence. And that's where without the mind, there is no past and future. But with the mind, see how suddenly more potent the whole Maya, the whole appearance become. The invention of the mind or creation of the mind, and I'm talking from the perspective of the absolute, of the space, that was a masterpiece. Suddenly, instead of just one here now, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, I can express through thousands of universes of the past and future and parallel universes. They're all thoughts. So to see actually how the whole universe is just a bundle of playing out being believed thoughts, take a sting out of it, make it dreamlike, and brings it back to the true nature of it, the nothingness. It's a big one. It can't be grasped conceptually.
No. So it's interesting because as I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm having these moments of a bit like Adrian of like, oh, just this expansion, and then there's almost like a panic that comes straight after that. This panic of, oh, fuck, where am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
What is real? And it's overwhelming.
Yes.
And at those moments I've reached out to people, you know, from this community, and that really helped me just locate something, some breath, or because it's like
Breath
it feels like a death. It's like a
breath is wonderful.
The panic's been the habit. Panic's been the habit.
Yeah.
When these things come up, they start to recognise it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a habitual reaction, because we used to, especially people, very, very heady, head-oriented people, intelligent people who have really strong mental capacities, they learn to avoid fear by thinking that, you know, they think that there is some safety in a person, or they think they know where they are, who they are. That thinking gives them false sense of security. But that thinking is false itself. And learning to actually, dive in the moment and swim in that uncertainty, swim in that curiosity, and find home in the I don't know. I have no idea. It's absolutely impossible for me to know who I am. I can never know it. How could I possibly know it? Who I am or what anything is? I would have to be outside of myself to know what I am, but then I know something that is inside me and not me. So breaking the habit of finding security in thinking and breathing into that, gosh, I have no idea, I'll never ever know, and that just have to be okay. It's just like people go in terms with not knowing whether they will reincarnate or go to hell or go to heaven. Well, they don't know, and there's no way to know. So they just, okay, whatever. And moment to moment, life is like this. I don't know what's my next thought going to be. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like. If I want to torture and fear, I can try imagine future and scare myself to death because I lost a very well-paid job and probably a career, and I have no retirement and I have no perspective, and I'm going to be old and ugly and sick and oh my God. But that's all thoughts. They just... The I don't know place, if we learn to relax into it, can be quite sweet, because this is the freedom from the mind. I don't know, and that's okay. But the mind will tell you, no, that's not okay. And to see that activity is a gift, because you are seeing from the screen. When you see the mind resisting I don't know, the movement of the resistance, you're seeing from being a space, the screen. You had something?
Yeah, as I say, something comes up to this thing, and get caught in it, and you say, oh, I failed again, then you beat yourself up with a word, I shouldn't have done it, blah, 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 forget about it. Start afresh every moment. Every moment is fresh and new. That's what one of that scripture says, look to today, you know, it goes on with it. It finishes, yesterday's already a dream, and tomorrow's is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. So stay with the day and let it unfold. And there is, when you're living in that zone-like state, there is a natural spontaneous joyousness there. Not sadness or fear or guilt, shame, remorse, just a sense of well-being, being well. And nobody who's not being right now.
And also there is no panic when you don't think about it and you don't label it. It's just a buzzing life.
Oh, you're right.
No, sorry, I didn't know you.
I've forgotten.
Oh.
Talking about the memory going.
So whenever this strong sensation kicks in, if you could actually find the curiosity, what would that be without the mind component, without the label? Like, the fear or something that you call panic, take the label off and see how it feels in the shoulders, how the breath shortens up. Just investigate the whole feeling with the curiosity, as if you are the space-like awareness, being curious about your own expression as the buzzing life, as vibration. That takes the sting off the panic. It makes it interesting. It makes it fascinating. Because only the mind is telling you that, oh, this is a bad sensation and this shouldn't be there and we have to extinguish it, fix it, alter, modify, correct it, stop it by any means. If you don't want to stop it, you just kind of, okay, that's what the present moment contains. That's the content of the moment. And it's only here now. It's not going to be here next moment. So let's investigate it. Let's give it attention while it's there, because it's not going to last. And this, in my experience, was always deconstructing any strongest sense of pain, strongest sense of discomfort, panic, fear, anything. Just giving it curious attention without judgment and without label. Just learning those vibrations. And breath, as you say, you can always go back to. That also takes you down from the mind into the immediacy. It will teach you, because that's what it does. You have enough understanding, so it already carries you away and it bringing the insights. It will teach you in your own language, as it already did.
Yeah, Tess is dying.
Something's happy about it.
Does the awareness keep getting deeper and richer and more joyful, or
It is a totality. Totality. It's total. How can anything get any deeper? It's the great perfection. The Buddhist says the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness, awareness without any concept. Now, if it's perfection, what can you add to perfection?
I guess so, but I guess perfection must feel pretty good.
It's perfect. So you can't add anything to perfection, you can't take anything away from it. So it's always there. What we're seemingly obscuring with it, thoughts, concepts, ideas and images, can't cut it. They're not touching it at all.
Bob often says, even if there are clouds on the sky, the sky is still there and the sun is still shining. Only for that little person that thinks that it's out there separate, it seems dark and gloomy. But you are not that person. You are the sun. So whatever happens to the person doesn't matter.
And naturally, if there's less clouds in the sky, the sun's much brighter, isn't it?
Mm.
It's not being obscured. So. The thoughts are not obscuring that, what you call awareness or knowingness, whatever it is. It's self-shining. It shines of itself. That's what they call it, self-shining, ever-fresh presence awareness. Just this, nothing else. That's all there is. And the things that appear on it, the pattern, shapes and forms, things, that's what they are, pattern, shapes and forms. There's no thing in this manifestation. It's full of things. You're a thing, I'm a thing, the carpet's a thing, birds a thing, trees, stars, they're all things. All appearing in that space-like screen, no thing. Can something come from no thing? So we're all no thing, appearing as things. But that no thing is the perfect, great perfect awareness in which everything appears in. And it's with the pattern, shapes and forms to express through. If no thing in its totality without any clouds or shapes and forms. What could you say about it? Nothing. What can you do about it? So it patterns, shapes and forms all these different patterns, bodies, minds, insects, birds, to express her. And as I say, with your thoughts, your feelings and your emotions, take the life essence out of that body. How many thoughts can a corpse have? How many sights can it see? How many activities can it do? So though it's utilising the body and the so-called thinking to do all these things, it couldn't do anything at all if it wasn't for that life essence functioning through that pattern. You can see that light globe up there. It's got about 40 watt of electricity going through it, energy. Now if you put a couple of 1,000 volts through it, it'll blow that globe to smithereens, blow it into nothing. But through the 40 watts or whatever's going through it, that's got enough light to function. Same with these bodies. If that full awareness was expressing through it,
blow it apart.
Blow us all to bits. So it's like, what do they call it? What do they call it, the things that break them down? Transformer. So we've got this body's like a transformer going.
The right amount. The right amount.
Yeah.
Is there where we get only a little bit at a time sort of thing, so we don't blow up? If it's too much. Too much for the brain, or we cook.
Yeah, it's possible.
Then the families will really think we lost the plot. I think going back to the what we were saying before about the family, whatever. I think it's because it's like non-duality really is a minority of people that believe or they're into this, right? Whereas the majority are what we call normal. So they consider themselves normal, and we are the abnormal.
Exactly.
So we're the minority. So it's always the case that the minority will be the one who's wrong, and the majority have to be right because the majority wins.
But it's quite the opposite. It's not that we are believing in something and they are normal. It's we are believing in nothing and they are believing in things. But that's just a figure of speech. I know what you mean. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's how it appears to be, how it seems to be. Terry,
you say
something.
Today. You said a word.
Yeah.
Just holding the space.
That's not Terry.
Come on, add something. Contribute.
Everything that's been talked about today is relative. Everything that everyone has been talking about is in relationship to self or something, or me and the understanding, or me and I'm getting this, or me I'm not getting this, or me I'm seeing this, or me I'm not seeing this. And that relationship idea needs to be seen through. It really does. Even the idea, okay, so there's goals and there's plans and there's, these things that I want to do and want to become or want to get to and so on and so forth. Or I experienced some clarity that lasted a week or 24 hours or a moment or whatever. And then the mind came scrambling back in again. What do I do about that? What do I do about that mind and that mind that comes scrambling back in again, you know, and we still are failing to recognise or see that primal me, that primal core belief, what I am. You know, it's not just about recognising that I'm not the thoughts and I'm not the body. That needs to be seen. Absolutely, that needs to be seen. But doesn't stop there. Because there's still, if you investigate, there'll still be a belief there that there's a me here that's observing the thoughts and saying I'm not those thoughts, and there's a me here saying I'm observing the body and I'm not this body. So it's really subtle. That me identification, that self-identification is really, really subtle, and it's really close. And we don't see it.
How do you drop that?
By seeing it.
How do you do that?
By seeing it.
Just being.
Just by seeing it. Instead of taking the objective to be what you're not. Which needs to be seen. Okay? We first go through the process of I am the objective. I am all my thoughts. I am this body. It's objective. It's something that I can be aware of. I am that. And then we recognise we're not that. And it's a process of recognising we're not that. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not that. I'm not kind of anywhere. And then we get stuck there. We just get stuck there. Now what? Yeah? There's still a subtler sense of identity that's stuck there, that we don't see.
So who sees that?
So you have one or two choices. You can either continue to focus your attention on the objective, which is what everyone is doing. And it's exactly what I heard happening in the room all morning, is there's still the attention on that. Even when there's been experiences of, oh, I'm not that. And there's been moments of clarity, and then it comes back again, and the attention is back on the objective again, rather than the subject, rather than the subjectivity. So it needs to be seen. So you've got one or two choices. You can either continue to focus your attention on that that's not real, or turn. Like, the real investigation doesn't start until we at least absolutely recognise that we can be nothing that is objective. It doesn't start until that is clearly, absolutely seen. It doesn't. Because that's when the real investigation happens. Okay, shit, I see all that. Now what? I still feel like I'm here. It still feels like a me present that has wants and desires and concerns and whatever. That's what needs to be investigated.
So that's the option 2 is the further investigation.
The option 2, one or two options. You either take what you're not to be real, or you take what you are to be real. One's true and one's false. One's real and one's an illusion.
So it depends which one you focus on. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
It's just coming to an absolute clear understanding. You could say that. You could say that. But there's an innate knowing that happens. Not an intellectual understanding that happens. There's an innate knowing that happens. You know, you're either the false identity or you're the objective world, which includes the thoughts and everything out there. Now you're either that, or there's something that is present that all of that overlays. That all of that objective, couldn't be there without something else. and it's just presence, it's just here-ness, it's just now-ness, just that. So in terms of attention, which is where you were going, Tony, you either continue to put your attention on the objective or focus the attention on the subjective. Yeah. Yeah, because there's still a me there that believes it's looking at the objective. And that me that believes it's come to a certain level of understanding, and I must be pretty close, and and I see this and I see that. That's what needs to be seen. That's the when the real seeking actually happens. Because prior to that, what you've done is you've come to an understanding of what you're not what you are. Which has to happen. It's part of the process. You have to at least come to an understanding of what you're not. Because trying to understand what you are from what you're not is insanity. Total insanity. That's why the me can never get this.
It's got to come from a completely different space.
Yeah, it's just, well, that 24-hour experience that you had, did you create that?
No.
Just happened, didn't it?
Yeah. It felt like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Though. There was no objective. No seeing that at all.
Yep. And in that, and in that space, was there the idea or the notion or the thought, is it deep? Can it get deeper? Can it get more joyful? Can it get more expansive? No.
Yeah.
So it's only when that kicks in, the objective stuff that kicks in, that those questions even arise. So when they do arise, whatever. Like, pay it no attention. Really. It's just clouds.
It's trying to find a way in again.
Yeah, it's just clouds floating through the sky, and you're not creating any of that, just like you're not, making the blood pump around your body or your heartbeat. Those thoughts, I mean. You're not creating any of that. That'll come up and it'll go. And
so that will just naturally change would happen without. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's no me to wake up.
Yeah.
So what's waking up? If there's no me to wake up, what the hell is it that's waking up? Because something happens. Something happens. So we come into this, hoping we can get any spiritual path, and even this, this non-dual path. We come into this hoping that we can become enlightened, or something's got to shift, something's going to happen, So we come into it wanting. And what I would say to you is, there's nothing to get. There's absolutely nothing to get. Zip, nada. But there's a shitload to lose. And it's in the losing, it's in the dropping off that you end up with who am I? Yeah. Right here, right now, without a story, without the story, without any of it. And that's not to say that the story won't pop up, because life goes on, functioning still happens, thoughts still happen here. They do. And they either get acted on or they don't. It's as simple as that. Really. Although, not much happens up here anymore. Not much.
But yet, you're putting out a concept, it's not the truth.
Yeah.
And when you spoke, the first thing you said is, I was holding the space, which created a separation. I was holding the space. Who is that I?
Yeah.
And you're also saying you have to do something. Well, who's the one that's doing something? And what I'm hearing, actually, I feel quite an aversion to what you're saying. To be really honest, if I'm speaking my truth, I don't resonate with your expression in this room today. That's my honest truth.
Yeah.
Fuck it. That's my truth. I don't get it, what you're saying. And I think it's a lot up here.
Yeah.
I don't feel you. I feel a fucking lot of concepts, sorry.
Cool.
And a lot of separation.
You made sense to me.
And but I'm saying
Yeah,
what
yeah,
came up for
feedback,
me,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
not going to sit here and go yes, yes, when I feel like you have to do something, you have to see all this. It's like really.
I got it though.
Yeah.
I feel it as well.
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah,
And everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different. But it's like I get a little. I saw it a lot in India. I saw it a lot in Advaita paths. I've been around 27 years in Advaita, and I have an aversion for this kind of expression. And I'm sorry, it's not personal. It's when someone comes in and says you should, and they're coming from a viewpoint that they know and you don't know, and that separation for me. That was where the resistance was.
Yeah. So
It's not personal.
And what happens for me too, you know, and Terry's been such a, you know, help to me. It's what I love about Bob and Kat is I hear some of the human experience. I hear some of what led them to this understanding. I don't get that from you, so I feel like, where's the human in it? Where's what was? I need some of that. I need some of the human experience. Otherwise, I feel, I've got to be this other thing, and
And you
I
can
struggle.
read subject, object, be in the subject. All that is concepts. It's all there. It's on the internet. These are all conceptual. You know, that's So Anyway, I feel I have to just be honest. It's not personal.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But
It
you know what's
it helped me.
what is important is because we are all different patterns, we will all resonate with different style of pointing, and some style of pointing will be completely unthinkable. It will be creating strong resistance. Some style of pointing will relax us. It's almost like we are musical instrument, and certain tunes relax us, bring us to the state. Center other tunes make us crazy, and that's beautiful. The important thing, and I've seen it as a trap, and Bob often say it here on the meetings, we are not to worship the messenger, we are to listen to the message. So the message, regardless of how the message is presented, will be the same. And also another thing that is important, I heard people saying that, even close friends of Bob, that nobody in the world gets it, only Bob, and I am above Bob because I can say who gets it and who doesn't get it. See the trap? This is the yes, because when I am the one who is allowed to judge who gets it, who doesn't get it, I'm already in extremely tight jacket of self-righteousness and ego. So the answer is we don't know. Just stay in the space. Nobody knows anything, and everyone is that already, expressing in a different ways, different tune, different way of saying, different way of pointing, different energy. Because yes, you say you felt it in your guts, but this is your filter, and he felt it in the guts. That's his filter. The truth is there is only one. Everything is that one essence.
Yeah, but there's an aversion to being told from another I viewpoint, you have to do something, you have to... That's like, who is doing? Who has to do anything?
That's just words.
That's just a way of explaining things, talking.
Yeah.
Because like, you're going to have 10 people who are awakened, let's say, and everybody will talk differently. You know, everybody will express differently. Some will say one thing, some will say another, but I think the core of it is always the same. But that's the way I understand
It's
it.
all pointers. It's just
Pointers. Also, Bob is saying the same way. Leave it. Unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. Who is there to leave it? Who is there to relax to it? It's just words. It's not that I am right because these words are wrong. It's just really people wake up. I mean, people don't wake up. The pure screen of consciousness wake up from the nightmare of being a person by listening to the bird. Doesn't even have to be an enlightened master. Doesn't have to be a speaker. It can shift us with you. It just spontaneously shifts. So it's not that there is anyone right or wrong. It's just what is in this moment as it is.
But sometimes even you pick up just different words, a different way of saying it that resonates, and it sort of the penny drops. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I hear, I used to watch you on the streaming, and there was things you would say, and oh my God, perfect. Then Bob would say something, and there was things like different things that would resonate, or Terry or Jane or whatever. Even someone might say something here, you still got where you resonate with certain things more, than others. It's just the way it is.
And that's beautiful, and that's what Bob keeps highlighting. Listen to the people in the group, because this is the same life expressing through everyone, regardless whether you believe they got it or they don't get it, especially that you can't ever know it, because everyone is it already.
I honestly enjoy whenever all you guys talk, and for me it has different points that it affects me to understand a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you might say a word, it doesn't resonate with me, or Kat might say it and it will resonate with me, and vice versa. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can hear the same thing over and over again until one day that word that you've heard for a million times, that's why.
That's the right intention, because if your intention is to resonate and find place back home, then you will find it listening to the birds singing, or listening to someone enlightened or unenlightened, or whoever. Depends what you actually want really, what your heart desires.
You're open.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, well.
But when you are in the mind, you sit in a place of judgment, of course that's unavailable.
And look, we're all different. And that's why there's a lot of people that teach, have this, and there's a lot of people that's just the way it is. Yeah.
And yes, it is very important what Salila says, that we have to bring it up. There are people who absolutely hate every word I say, and there are people who love it too. And same with Bob. Bob had the reviews on the book, avoid him like a plague. Everyone has their own particular frequency which resonates or doesn't with particular style of pointing, and we're not here to pretend that it is not happening. It's good to be honest. It's good to be honest about it.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely. It's good to be honest the way you were honest, because you were honest the way, you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true.
Yesterday, I had this encounter with a kookaburra for about an hour, 1 hour. This kookaburra was playing with me. I got scared because the beak was so big. And it was like, and I ran behind a tree, I ran behind someone else. And I felt like, that's what I feel like. Intelligence is just playing with me. And it was swooping down, it came close, and then I was, but it was amazing. The dance that happened, the play between me and this kookaburra went on for 1 hour. But it was like a teacher had appeared for me in that moment. And it was just the dance, it was the Leela, and it wasn't personal for me, and it wasn't personal for the kookaburra, and it's not personal what I shared with you, it's not personal, it's just I needed to express it. Otherwise I feel like I'd leave this room and I was dishonest, because I'd look like I was getting it and I wasn't. And I think it's so important to be honest in this room.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe. Because then you have freedom, and then life can come.
And the beautiful things that you and has told to Terry, because maybe there is a reason why he makes it impersonal, and maybe there is a room for improvement. Give a little bit of your heart, Terry. You have a beautiful, beautiful life illustrations to give away, and then why not? It will make you even better speaker.
Possibly.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Yeah.